You know, this is completely unrelated to this video, but I just watched a video on the story of Fenrir. And when you think about it, it's kind of sad. Like, it almost brings a tear to your eye. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of The Hungry Heathen. Now, if you remember from the last video where we read from the Poetic Edda, that coming weekend there was supposed to be an Ostara ritual. Unfortunately, that didn't come to pass. So, this week, we're going to make the roast that I was originally going to make for the ritual. It's a simple recipe. It's a pot roast. I prefer to use sirloin tip roast. You can use realistically whatever roast you want. I also just realized I totally forgot to get carrots. So we're just gonna pretend that's part of it. Always well prepared. This is a pretty simple recipe. It all lies in the seasoning. That's where the taste is. So obviously, because it's a pot roast, you're going to, in fact, need a roast. I have a 3.8 pound, almost a 4 pound roast here, which is going to feed a whole family, and it's just me and my kid here, so I guess I'm going to be taking it for lunch all week. Anyway, so for this recipe, you need carrots, which I don't have, or celery if you prefer. I'm not a big fan of celery, so I don't add it to my roast. I put these in here, these little sweet potatoes, and for vegetables, I also add one angry apple. Well, about a half to 3/4 of an angry apple to the bottom. That's the important part. You put it in the bottom so that the juices come up through the roast. Now, a lot of people use water. I don't. I use beef broth, because it just adds to the flavor. So, let's get started. So, I grab our sweet new cutting board here. I don't want to say that it's awesome, but it's pretty awesome. So, everybody says that if you put a wet paper towel on the side of your cutting board when you're cutting up an onion, it's supposed to prevent your eyes from watering. I haven't had it work that way yet, but we're going to do that too. So give me a quick second. Now we're going to cut our angry apple. So, what I like to do when I do these is obviously you can take the ends right off. Now I found that's already obnoxious. I'm not crying, you're crying. I've found it easier to do it this way, especially when it comes to peeling it. Unless you like onion skin, I mean, all the power to you. There are people out there that eat peanut shells. There are people out there that eat watermelon rinds. So, I mean, maybe you like onion skin. That's, you do you. I do not. So, go ahead and peel this right the hell off. Just gonna go ahead and hit that fast forward button real quick. Okay. So, I know. I peeled off the entire outer layer of the onion. That's fine. I do that for a reason. I don't want the skin in that. So, I'm going to take the lid off that, yeah? That's an idea, huh? So, what I do is I will just half the onion. It's easier that way. And then I just peel and throw. Let's take some room here. So I will just, I'm going to take these off too. So I don't want them getting watered up in the meat. Yeah, giggity. So now we just sit here and just peel the onion apart. The reason I do it this way is because unless you want to eat a whole half an onion, you're gonna want to do this. So let's go ahead and hit that fast forward button again.
And back to normal speed.
Okay. So you're gonna want to rip the onion up, unless you want, like I said, unless you want chunks of it. Now, the next thing we're gonna add is the meat. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that right out of the way. Snippy, snippy, snippy. Sometimes you just gotta, give a little snip, snip when it comes to your meat. Nobody wants that extra cover in there. It's very important that you unpackage the meat from the plastic wrap and then dump all of the goop that is in it all over the freaking counter. Stand by. Oh, well. This is a mess. All right, well, we're just gonna go ahead and, you know what? It's running right into the garbage can while it's sitting there, so we're just gonna let it go. All right. Okay. Pull that out of there. And up there. So, this is why I took my other rings off. Actually, I'm gonna take these ones off too. Now that I think about it. Okay. So, we got our roast here. Now that is a piece of meat. So, cut the netting off before you cook it. Actually, this one, it's actually not too tight. So, take the net, I mean, you don't have to, but this is gonna fall apart when you go to pull it out of the crock pot. So I am getting this everywhere. I am so just crushing it right now. So anyway, take the net off this, because when you get done cooking this is gonna just fall apart in the pot. So got our bed of onions, set a roast on top of that. Now I'm gonna have to clean this up, so bear with me. Okay, now that I've cleaned up the ridiculous mess I just made, the next part is sort of crucial. I take a knife and I just poke the meat before I season it, because that allows the juices and everything to work its way through. So grab a stabby boy and just kind of, get in there. Now, you don't have to go all the way through, but in a way you do. So this is still, all right, took it out yesterday, and it is still partially frozen. That's fine, because we're not going to cook this until tomorrow, because the correct way to cook this is to cook it on low for roughly 10 hours. So I'm just going to do that. All right. Put this over here in the sink. Now, this is the important part, the seasoning. Now you can do this however you want. I use, where the hell is it? A little liquid smoke. A little garlic and herb. And my favorite thing to add is a little bit of that Cajun two-step. Because that will take this roast and just make it money, dude. Alright, that was terrible. Hopefully Stale Cracker doesn't sue me. Anyway. So, usually... Now this is something I'm going to try new. I've never added this. This is a lote seasoning. I make corn with this. I've never added it to meat before, so we're going to give that a shot too, because I've got an abundance of it. Now, add the liquid smoke first, so you don't wash the other seasonings off. You just kind of... get that in there. Now, before I put the other seasonings on, because again, I don't want to wash them off, because this is going to sit overnight, you're going to want to put your beef broth in there as well. Now, it says a cup. I do enough to cover pretty much the whole bottom of the pot. I don't like the idea of drying. There's still meat juice all over here. I don't like the idea of drying the meat out while it's cooking, so I add, enough to cover the bottom of the pot. Now we're going to add our seasonings. So, a little liquid smoke, coat the whole roast. This will cook into the roast too. So we're going to add the lote. Again, I've never done it with a lote before, but I know it tastes really good with my, when I use it on corn, and I mix it with Parmesan cheese, which that's going to have to be a recipe that we try. I'll have to make that too one of these weekends. And then we're going to add, if I can get it open, the garlic and herb. Now, I know what you do if you're just cooking it in the crock pot. No, this will all cook into the meat. That's why we're going to let it sit overnight, too, before we cook it. It's another reason. And then, a little bit of that good old Cajun two-step. Now, we're going to switch cameras here for a minute. So that's kind of what you're looking for right there. You see how that just covers the onions there? The beef broth just covers the onions. You know what? Because it's gonna coat it. And then you're gonna let that sit overnight until morning, and we're gonna cook it. But before we do that, we're gonna put the potatoes in too, because that's super important. So let's switch back to the other camera. Okay, so next, this is where I usually add the carrots. And when I use carrots, I usually use a whole bag. But I'm an idiot and forgot to get them. So I'm just gonna do it this way. We'll add the carrots later. I have to go to the store anyway. So we'll just add the carrots later tonight. Not a big deal. So I'll cook it the same. So add your That one decided it doesn't want to go anywhere. Oh, okay. Your choice. 2 bags of little potatoes. Kind of distribute them. Now these are going to cook right along with the roast. and they're going to be super soft. So we're going to go pop this in the fridge for almost, well, we're going to go pop it in the fridge overnight. And morning time comes, we're going to throw it on the slow cooker and let it cook all day, and it's going to be fantastic. So we'll see you in about 16 hours. So you guys remember how I said I forgot to get the carrots at the store? No, they were just in a different part of the fridge. So we're going to add those in now. You can add as many carrots as you want. Or, like I said, whatever vegetable you choose. You can use celery. I don't like celery, so I don't use celery. I prefer carrots. Now, I've got these big... my hands aren't, like, huge. So I usually use 2 or 3 handfuls. Just kind of mix them all in there. Get mixed in with potatoes. Okay. Now, we're going to put it in the fridge overnight. And we'll see you in about 16 hours.
Hey guys, good morning. It is 8:15. I put this on 6 o'clock. Definitely was not like I went back to bed, so I'm not gonna lie. It's Sunday. I'm tired. But we put this on at 6, so we're gonna let it go 10 hours. So we're gonna check it at 4 and temp it at 4. It should be good. Cooking it on low. You want to cook it on low. I mean, you cook it on high, but if you cook it on low, it falls apart better. Now, I know you can't smell it through the phone, but it already smells really good. So, we're going to let that go for another 8 hours. And, you're going to pull it out, cut it up, and chow down. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, guys, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's been 10 hours. We're going to go ahead and temp this and see if it's done, which it should be, I hope. Now, it's really important that you temp something like this just to make sure. Yeah, that's absolutely done. Okay. Now, I definitely used probably more broth than I should have, than I needed to, but that's okay. It'll all cook. It'll be all right. You'll still get the flavor. So we're gonna go ahead and grab us a bowl, I guess. We'll take the whole thing right over the counter there.
We brought it over to this counter where we usually do our videos from. So, the only problem, and I don't even think it's a problem, the only problem with cooking a roast like this is it falls apart, and I want to show you right now. Just no knife or nothing, just reach it in there, and it falls apart. It's great. You get in there with a fork and just pull it right out. I don't think it's a problem. Personally, I think it's actually not a problem at all. So the takeaway from this, I definitely need to start actually measuring the broth because I definitely used more than I needed to. So use a little less broth than I did. I added more and I didn't need to because I always second guess myself with this sort of thing. But this is a 4-pound roast. We threw it in the crock pot for 10 hours. You're going to need, like I said, you're going to want at least a half an onion, potatoes, and then whatever other vegetable you want to add. I added carrots. I make this for every ritual. It's good, it's simple, it's easy, everybody always likes it. So, it's just a simple pot roast recipe. The downside is it's a 4-pound roast, and now I'm going to be eating roast for lunch all week. So, I wouldn't really consider it a downside, though. I guess it depends on who you ask. So, yeah. That's my pot roast recipe. It seems to be a big hit every time I make it. So, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, let me know what you think. I'm on TikTok too now, under the Hungry Heathen. If you're not following my Instagram or my Facebook, you absolutely should. I've started posting more motivational stuff on there from my time in the gym. I don't really use Twitter a whole lot. Honestly, I forget it's there. So, the best ways to get in contact are definitely going to be on Instagram and Facebook. And like I said, I post at random on TikTok if you want to just see stupid videos. There's really no rhyme or reason behind it. It's just dumb content that I either think is cool, stupid, or, I'm funny, whatever. Even though my daughter thinks I'm lame. I digress. So yeah, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time.